Alrighty, countdown to the Geekcast. We are here with Mr. Allen.
How you doing?
San Antonio artist who is going to be drawing for the upcoming Black Panther series comic. And he has worked on Miles Morales. He's worked on X-Force. He's done some awesome artwork throughout the way. He's been doing artwork since he was 16 and drawing superheroes. So, introducing you to it, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself that I have not introduced?
Yeah, I'm originally from a little town outside of Orlando called Winter Park. I worked originally for a small press publisher who's still in business called AC Comics. They do a book called FemForce. I worked for them for forever, and then they would take outside gigs from other artists who work for bigger companies, and that's where I got my feet wet, and I just fell in love with the medium. We got to work on Batman. We got to do ghost work on Batman, on like Dark Horse stuff. We did some Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, and then from there, I moved here to San Antonio, hooked up with the fine people over there at Antarctic Press, and they not only let me keep drawing comic books, but they would take me out to San Diego Comic-Con every year. And one year, I had a book that I just made, a steampunk book, and I showed it to the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics. He hired me right there on the spot.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool, man.
And I've been at it ever since. But my first job for Marvel Comics as a marquee artist was at 47 years old. So don't let anybody tell you it is too late. Keep pushing. Sir. Whatever. If you want to do it, make it happen. It's never too late.
Okay. So how was it when you got the call about doing Black Panther?
So what happened was I had been doing jobs for Marvel Comics on and off, and I had done a Spider-Man book with my Spider-Man editor, Ralph Macchio from the 80s, who was the Spider-Man editor when Ron Frenz was drawing the book. So my favorite Spider-Man artist, so I got to work with my favorite Spider-Man editor. And they saw that, and the talent coordinator, Ricky, called me up and he said, I want you to take a couple days to think about this, but we have an incentive program for artists that we think are like high caliber artists, or artists that we want to grow with the companies. It's called a Stormbreakers. We want you to work for that. We want you to work to be a part of that program. It's a 2-year contract. And during that time, you are one of our marquee artists. You get like the best jobs. You get variant covers, and we find you books that we think fit like who you are as an artist and what you're doing. And me, I'm a world builder. I love to draw buildings. I love to draw like mechanical stuff and pipes, and so long story short. Black Panther, this arc on Black Panther requires a lot of world building, and so they're like, Chris is the guy for this. And I mean, this is just we just wrapped issue 1. We're starting up issue 2, and it's just been an amazing process. I mean, like, I'm 100% of my happy place right now. 100%.
Nice. So does that mean you are actually going to build the War of Wakanda from this comic world aspect?
There's a city in Wakanda called Burnin Chaka, and that city is very different from like the Golden City. The Golden City is like this science fiction paradise where like there's like flying cars and all that stuff. This is different than that. This is kind of like if that's like the upper west side of Wakanda. Like, we're going to the lower east side of Wakanda, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Like we're going to Hell's Kitchen.
Nice.
So it's still Wakanda. It's still they still take care of all their people there, but it's a little bit more desperate, and there's a lot more shadowy places, and so it's very fun to like discover like this new world, and unfold it with the writer and the editors, and just the collaborative process has just been so beautiful and so fun.
So what can you tell us without stepping on any toes? What did you bring to the new character?
So I don't want to get into spoilers too much, but what I can tell you is that Tony Stark dies at the end of Avengers Endgame. I'm sorry, everyone. The movie's been out long enough. This is going to be a T'Challa that's a more ground level character. He doesn't have his vibranium armor. He doesn't have his tech, but remember that he's still an inventor. He's as clever as Otto Octavius. He's as clever as Peter Parker. He's not Reed Richards, but he can build some stuff. So he engineers his costume. He engineers his his spaces, and this is him after everything he's gone through, kind of reconnecting to who he is and what makes him who he is. And I think that Eve Ewing is the perfect writer for that. Nice. She's done a fantastic first issue, and the second issue is even better.
So is there any changes to the costume that you may have done to the...
It's a complete change. So it was interesting because when you get these instructions and you get collaborative notes from the writers and the editors, and at first they seem weird. The editor, our editor Will, he's like, what we want is a Black Panther costume that looks exactly like Black Panther but nothing like Black Panther. It has to have a cape, but it can't have a cape. And so at first you're like, well, this is the silliest thing I've ever heard. But then you take a second to think about it, and you're like, oh, that's what he means. And so then you start looking at stuff, and you're like, okay, what makes the Black Panther costume look like Black Panther? What makes it iconic? And the thing that makes it iconic is there's not a lot of stuff on it. So what I did is I did an original sketch, an initial sketch that was just loaded up with a whole bunch of stuff, and I just slowly started removing stuff until I got to the point where I'm like, this looks like Black Panther. There's just enough elements that it looks different. It looks a little bit more hard scrabble. It looks a little bit more patchwork and put together, but it still is sleek enough to be Black Panther. And then I send it over to the editors, and they're like, no. And so, but they're very specific with their notes, what they wanted. They're like, you're almost there, but let's try this, or this. And they were 100% right. That's one thing to remember if you ever work for one of these big companies, is that the editors, a lot of people get frustrated with them, but the editors are not there to make you fail. If they see something, it's because they're seeing it with eyes that aren't overly invested in the thing that they're making or that they're drawing. So listen to them, pay attention to what they're saying, and work with them and make the changes that they ask for, and you'll be surprised a lot of times that that's exactly what it needed.
Nice. So he still does the actual artwork in sketch form first, and he also does digital as well. So you doing both, do you want to go full digital, or do you feel you like doing both?
I do not like digital inks. I've tried them. I do them on the covers a lot of times, just because the covers are when you're doing a lot of interiors, the covers are things that you have to work in. So the good thing about digital is that there's an undo button. If you mess up, you don't have to get a bucket of white out and then try to figure out what you drew under that and all that stuff. You can just go undo, or you can pull up the history, and you can say, let me just start back from here, and then you can fix it that way. To me, it's like Don Henley not having his tonsils removed. It's weird. It's different. So even with my covers now, I've moved to full inks on the covers. I don't care for the digital inks, but I do think that digital pencils are very handy. I think they're very handy to have that undo button, and to be able to have a whole bunch of layers of drawings without having a ton of papers, so that you look like an episode of Hoarders by the time you're at the end of a project.
That's what I like about it as a comic book fan. The original art, to me, not just that as a fan you can own a piece of it, hang it up on your wall, display it, the page that you like, and have the original comic right next to each other. It is definitely worth it. I mean, if you guys want original art, come by his table. He has it for sale. He doesn't have any of the Black Panther stuff, but he will eventually shortly. I would recommend you grab yours when it comes out, because this is stuff that you want to keep on for years, as a fan, because it may be worth a lot of money later. You never know. It's like buying a Golden Age comic. When you, back in the day, you paid your 20 cents, who would have known 30, 40 years later, it's a $1,500 comic. It's just one of those things that you don't know. I actually purchased one of his actual original arts, and it is this piece right here. It's going to be Taskmaster with Miles Morales. And he has a story behind it as well. So let us know.
Here's a little bit of inside baseball for the collaborative process between the writer and the artist. And I was so very lucky to have a writer like Salaman, who was really just up for anything that any wacky idea that I had. So the script for this book just calls for Miles to just beat the Taskmaster. He's Spider-Man, he's got all the Spider-Man powers. Of course he can beat the Taskmaster, except that the Taskmaster comes with a pedigree, and the fans are going to have certain expectations. So, in the first part of this book, I made sure that the Taskmaster just kicked his butt up and down Brooklyn. And then, when you think that Miles Morales, and so Sal has a part in the book where Miles Morales defeats him, but it's just the Taskmaster moving him into place. So when you get to that place, you're like, oh, well, he didn't really beat him. It kind of underscores it. So Miles doesn't just beat him. The Taskmaster kicks his butt, then creates an opening where Miles thinks that he's won, and then he switches the table. So when you're an artist, you have to pay attention to what the writer's ultimate end game is. Otherwise, you're going to do damage to the characters you're drawing. You have to know the characters you're drawing. You have to know that Taskmaster comes with a pedigree that requires him to do some things that the writer may just be shorthanding you. You know what I'm saying?
The backstory.
Yeah. So the Taskmaster trains Avengers. You're not going to beat him, even if you're Spider-Man.
Nice.
And so that's what I brought to that. And so you see that at the end where the page you're looking at, they've had this furious fight, and then the timer goes off. The Taskmaster's like, oh well, I missed my bounty, so I don't care about you anymore. Bye bye. That's it.
Nice. That is freaking awesome. Like I said, man, look forward to seeing the pages come out. When does the comic actually hit stores?
Black Panther #1, June 24th, 2023. Megazord. No.
Nice. You also said, that helps you is that you're a geek as well. You were talking about earlier, of course you see I'm rocking the Titan shirt.
I need one of those.
Todd Stashwick actually has it on his page where you can actually get this and the hats.
I'm ready.
But you were talking about last episode. What were your feels about the last episode of the show?
My biggest feel was when Geordi hugged Crusher. I'm a big sap. I'm so glad that the lights are off in the movie theater because I cry at everything, and that's fine. Everyone's different, but I'm glad that no one was in the room when when Geordi hugged Crusher, because that was but that was, what a series. What a perfect send-off for these guys. If these guys had been making these movies in the 90s, they would still be making Star Trek movies to this day. What an incredible and I know that I'm in the minority, but this show, all 3 seasons, has single-handedly rehabilitated one of my least favorite Star Trek characters, 7 of 9. I do not like her. I don't like the over glorification of the Borg. I liked them more when they were creepy. So like making them like superhero star children, I was never a fan of that. I love Annika. She's fantastic. I love her.
Definitely.
And I love what they're doing with her in this season, where she has to fight for her name.
Yeah.
This is it's just a fantastic show from the top to the bottom, and there's moments where I even forget that Patrick Stewart is in his 80s.
Oh, dude, he doesn't even look it. I mean, he looks like the Patrick Stewart from Next Generation to me. I mean, the scene that got me the most is when they're at the museum and they have, you see Voyager and you see Enterprise of Captain Kirk's. I mean, just seeing those ships, and it just brought goosebumps to me because from the movies, from the original Star Trek, you got the Vulcan ship, it just was hitting everything. Every level was just hitting it.
You know what? It's weird because it's an Easter egg show. It's like it's a member-berry show, but like there's such respect behind each one, everything that they do. There's such love behind it. Like I adore this. I adore this, and while I'm not mad that it comes out weekly, if I could binge this, I would. And I probably will once it's all out. I'll probably binge it again.
I'll watch it again straight from that so I can watch it continuously.
I did the same thing with Strange New Worlds. I binged it a couple times. In fact, I did the same thing I do with gummy bears. I ate them until I was sick of them. Or until they made me sick. And I did the same thing with Strange New Worlds. I can't wait for the second season of that. But until then, this is fantastic. Prodigy's great.
Oh, well, even that one itself.
Prodigy's fantastic. And there's going to be a live-action crossover with Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. So I got to get caught up on Lower Decks.
Dude, that one is hilarious.
Everybody says it.
It is definitely watch.
And Riker was the captain of the Titan in that show.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. And he's there. He's captain, and Troy is his first officer. That's. I don't know if I can be a captain of the ship with my wife. I love her very much, but.
Well, I appreciate you taking time.
Thank you so much.
You've got fans lining up here. Like I said, I look forward to talking to you again when the comic comes out. I know your schedule is going to be hectic, but we would love to have you back on the show and
that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Keep in touch,
and then we can actually see the pages live and we can share them. And
absolutely. Hey, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank
you. I said, guys, Casa put this together. Bought comic book artists from all genres. So next year, hopefully the show is going to be bigger than this year. But like I said, thanks to them, we got Alan down here and sharing his comics with us. Like I said, catch us, like us, subscribe, and like I said, don't miss out. We're going to have Chris back on. We're going to talk about the season finale of Star Trek and go from there. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, man.